What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So I know I said this video would probably be up Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. However, I thought about it and I was like, why wait? Why not get this information out here the full week ahead of time? So without further ado, we are going to break down our top 10 decks to help you win your Ursula at a set championship. A few honorable mentions I want to throw on out there real quick. The Amethyst Steel deck, Jafar's World. You could also play this with Amethyst and Emerald. Personally, I think the Steel version is the better of the two versions. And Jafar's World, maybe it doesn't get you an Ursula, but at the same time, I think it is good enough. And depending on your matchups and your local scene, maybe it's a deck you want to take. A couple other honorable mentions would be Ruby Amber. This is the non-Mufasa version. There's a few of them, whether it's the song version or still the character-focused one, but without the Mufasas. I think that Amber Ruby is still a strong deck. And then I'm going to throw Hyper Aggro out there as just a general version, whether it's Lemon Lime Hyper Aggro, Amber Amethyst, Amethyst Emerald, Amethyst Steel. No matter what it is, Amber Steel can get very aggressive as well. I think aggro decks are in a very interesting position. If your locals is filled with Ruby Amethyst, with Ruby Sapphire, Hyper Aggro is the deck to go to sneak in and get that top four. If it's full of Bucky discard, maybe don't play it. Hyper Aggro is in that really weird spot right now where it could just explode and do really, really well, because so many people are cutting their 1 and 2 drops back because they're so detrimental to draw versus Bucky, and the format is slow enough where you can get away with it. For those reasons, I think Hyper Aggro could see success. Again, depending on your locals, because if it's filled with Bucky, maybe it's not the right call. But that brings us into our top 10 list. Well, Bucky, Sisu, Ruby, Amethyst. That's my top 3. I'm not going to waste any time on them. Shouldn't need to explain or talk about why. These decks have established themselves as the best decks, as the decks to beat. Do I think they're in that order? I do. I do think they're going to be in that order. Ruby Amethyst might make a push to try and take over one of the top 2 spots, but as of right now, I think Bucky is number 1, Sisu's number 2, and I'm going to put Ruby Amethyst in that 3rd spot. Last time for the Stitch Championships, we had our top 10 prediction, and if you count the honorable mention, we were going to put Blurple in there. But out of the top 10, we had 9 out of the 10 correct, and almost in order as well. So we're going to track these tops, by the way, on the spreadsheet. Link information down below, as well as the giveaway information all down below. Lots of good stuff there. So what does that leave? We have 4th through 10th. 10th, I'm going to leave it kind of generic, like the Hyper Aggro part. And I'm going to do that because I think Mufasa.deck is a deck that absolutely can thrive in the right environment. Whether you're playing Ruby Fasa, whether you're playing Amethyst or Purple Fasa, or Steel Fasa has been gaining a lot of traction as well. I think all 3 of these builds, particularly the Ruby and Steel builds, can see the most success into these set championships, and I would not be surprised at all to see, and I'd actually be a little surprised if we don't see Mufasa variants topping these events. Amethyst, Emerald, Bucky, not Tempo. Amethyst, Emerald, Bucky. Evasive discard, if you will. I'll have my updated list on the channel either Monday or Tuesday. This is a deck that almost nobody is playing, and personally, I think it's a very strong deck. It has a solid Bucky matchup, despite what some people want to say. They just look at the list and don't truly understand it, I guess. I don't know. I'll try and go very in-depth and break it down in that video, and it can be aggro enough to do well against the Sisu deck as well. So I think that Amethyst, Emerald, Bucky is a very, very good deck, but it lacks the representation. Am I going to play it? Maybe. It's still in consideration, but at the end of the day, despite being a very, very good deck, despite being a top 10 deck, I just might go with something higher up, at least for my first one. If I go, say, play Bucky discard at my first set championship and get my Ursula, yeah, I probably will bring Evasive discard to the next one just to see and to try to show how good the deck is. Number 8, this is the blurple of this format. If you saw the video yesterday, you know what that means. Lemon Lime discard. This is actually the exact list that you see on the screen from that video. So if you don't want to go check it out, you don't need to. Right there's the list. If you want explanations, go check out that video. But Lemon Lime discard, I think, is going to be the blurple of this set championship. And what that means is it's the deck that is just going to surprise people. It's going to shoot up, be all over the place, and actually do really well. It's not going to be a top 10 deck, or not a top 5 deck, sorry, but it will be a top 10 deck. We put Jafar's World in the honorable mentions, but that doesn't mean that Amethyst Steel cannot compete. I think the more standard Amethyst Steel control lists are very, very strong. I had this deck at number 5 in the Stitch Championships. They finished number 6, so this time maybe I'm going to tone them down a little bit. I think the format's not quite as kind, but this deck can be scary good if piloted correctly. Amethyst Steel absolutely can get you that Ursula. So for that reason, it is my number 7 deck. If you're playing Amethyst Emerald, maybe tempo is the way you want to go. And I'm going to put them in as number 6. This deck has been performing well overall in events. Again, you can track the spreadsheet. They have, I believe, the 5th most tops across the board. So why number 6? Well, as the format shifts, deck choices shift, deck cards shift, and for that reason, I do think tempo bumps down a little bit because of our number 4 deck, but overall, I think this deck is very strong and in a good position to get you your prize cards. Number 5. This one might surprise people. I'm going to go Sapphire Steel. Why would that surprise people? Well, if you've been following the format, we have a big 4 format. Bucky, Sisu, Ruby Amethyst, and Sapphire Steel. These 4 decks are far above and beyond any other deck. So how can I put a deck above Sapphire Steel? Well, as good as Sapphire Steel is, as good of a Bucky matchup as it has, I think that it struggles too much into Sisu, and Ruby Amethyst I think is gaining ground on it. And just call it a hunch, I think the number 4 deck that we're going to get to in a second is going to surprise people. I think that it's back, and it's a deck that typically takes a little bit of time to get figured out and to work its way into a format. And once it does, it just shoots up these charts and it does not look back. If you've been around Lorcana for a couple formats, you should already know we're talking about Steel Song. This deck started out slow, but it has managed to get 3 wins now. It is moving its way up the top chart, getting really close to that number 5 spot. It is ready to make moves, and I think that these set championships is when it's going to do it. I would not be surprised at all to see Steel Song, Amber Steel, all over the place. I think this deck is going to be popping up a lot, and I think it's going to be closer to the top 3 than it will be to 5 through 10. And again, Ruby Amethyst, Sisu, and Bucky round out our top 10. Do with what you will this information. Some things to look forward to for this week if you're interested. I am almost done recording the How to Beat Bucky video. So we have a whole video dedicated to taking down Bucky discard, tips, tricks, card choices for all 6 colors, things you can do, strategies to get into it. If you guys want, let me know down below. I will work on a Sisu video as well, Ruby Amethyst video as well, these top tier decks, breaking down how to beat them and cards to counter them in every ink color. Again, Bucky for sure is happening, probably Wednesday we'll call it. Don't hold me to that, but I'm going to hope to get it there for Wednesday. Like I said, Evasive discard, we'll have that video up on the channel Monday or Tuesday. Got a couple other deck profiles too planned, as well as some more content. So if you, again, any suggestions, just let me know down below. I love working on things that you guys want to see, and that helps me out. If you guys like it, I like it. Thanks for watching. Good luck getting those Ursulas, and let's see how good this top 10 prediction turns out to be. Until next time, guys, take care.